Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Mindset Check podcast. I'm your host, Misha McKittrick. This is a podcast where we believe that as you take time for a mindset check, you have more power than you think you do. And where we also believe that you have the ability to create your life. Before we get started, I want to tell you about one of my favorites. You know that I love drinks. I'm crazy about yummy, delicious drinks, and I try to choose wisely. One of the things that I've been loving lately is the True Lime packets. Okay, I can put a link in the show notes for Amazon because the flavor I like to get is grapefruit. And if you're familiar with the True Lime packets, you might be thinking like, oh, lime or lemon. But they make orange and they make grapefruit and they make other flavors. And a lot of people don't know that. So I like to buy the grapefruit packets and I like to buy a big box of them because I love them in plain water. But what I'm going to tell you about is to put a couple of these. So you take 2 of the packets and you put it with a sparkling water. I love it with like a grapefruit sparkling water or a lemon or a lime, something citrusy. I put 2 of them in and then I add, I don't know, maybe 12 drops of stevia, maybe less than that. So start lower, maybe start with 8 and then C and then add a little bit of stevia. But I'm talking about the liquid stevia. You guys, this is so refreshing, delicious, and it's really not terrible for you. So I thought I would share that with you just because I love sharing my recent faves with you. And that is something I might have even shared it on the podcast before because I love it. I know I've shared it just in plain water, but putting it in a sparkling water, just like that much better. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let's jump into today's podcast. Today's podcast is actually the audio from an Instagram live that I did. So I did an Instagram live. We talked all about the ins and outs of Power Up. Why would you want to do it? You know, what do you get from the course? How do we get the results that we get? And what are the logistics of the course? So that audio is what you're going to hear for today's podcast. If you would rather watch it on Instagram, then you can just obviously go to Instagram, find it in my feed. The cover of the video says, if you wish anything was different in your life, then listen to this. And I start out by saying that I have a little secret for you. Let's jump in. If there is anything that you wish was different in your life, you might want to listen to this live. Because that would be the driving reason to do the Power Up course. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're talking all about why would you want to do the Power Up course? Like, what is it? What can you expect from the course? How do we get the results that we get? And how is the Power Up course different than my other course, Heart Sync? How is that? What are the differences in the course? And then the logistics of the course, like what actually happens in the course, when are the classes, etc. Like what is the setup of the class? I'm excited to dive in with you. And if you're live with me, then go ahead and put your questions in the chat as we go along. I would love to answer them. And if you're watching back or listening back, then go ahead and put your questions in the comments or send me a DM or however you want to communicate with me. I would love to sit in a space with you to help you understand more fully what this is and why it might literally be a key to unlocking a life that you actually like wish you could create, but maybe you don't exactly know how. So let's start with why you would want to do this. And a lot of times, like I've talked to someone before who's like, well, I'm not really suffering, so I don't need to do the course, or I don't really, and I'm going to explain to you today, like why it applies to all of us really. But ultimately, especially if you want your life to improve in any way, then this course will show you the actual steps on how to do that, how to change your brain and your inner environment, your vibration, and all of these things to be able to create and bring something else forward for you. Hi, Leanne. So glad to see you here. Okay, so when we're doing the Power Up course, you know, it has the potential to move someone from absolute suffering into like bliss, into a blissful life. It also has the potential to serve someone who just wants a little bit more from life, who wants to feel that expansive feeling, that excited like goodness, like all the time. and to be able to move into something different. This course would serve you. Most people, as they've gone through their life, they've learned how to be critical, right? We've learned how to wish that life was consistently different and to sit in different emotions that actually we didn't know were really hurting us because it caused us to sit in a certain vibration. And if you don't know, you continue to attract what you are. And so if we're sitting in these vibrations because we have a tendency to like just wish something was different, it's not that we're like doing something so incredibly wrong, but we didn't know that we were fashioning our entire existence by sitting in thoughts that really were not serving us. So I'm going to give you a few examples of that. First, I want to start with my favorite quote by Alice Walker. She said, "The most common way people give up their power is by thinking that they don't have any." And when we think that we don't have any power, right, we sign up to live a life that we let happen to us. We wake up and every day it's like, well, what's going to happen today? And what fires do I need to put out? And what way is my day going to be hijacked? And we let life continually happen to us. And it takes us out of being in the driver's seat or the creation space, right? To be able to like know that we can have something different. And what's really important about this is that when hard things happen in our life, when tough things, like we go through really, really hard things in life, right? Not that life is hard, but that we can experience hard. And when we do, those can cause extreme feelings of kind of stress or overwhelm or grief or anxiety or fear, right? All of these kind of low level emotions. And then what happens is our body gets addicted to those emotions. And when our body gets addicted to those emotions, our mind, which is our most loyal assistant ever, which we love so much, but what we're doing is we're training it to do something entirely different. When we get so low, our brain says, oh, this is what we're used to. So let's go ahead and create situations to help us feel like that, because that is the pharmacy or the chemical environment that we are used to living inside. And so it creates it over and over and over again. And so wherever we dwell vibrationally, we continually create that over and over again. So if we can recreate that, then we can automatically train something different. What's really interesting about heart coherence and incoherence with the heart rate is that when your heart rate is in an incoherent state, it's really jumpy. It like jumps all over. And versus right when you're in a coherent state, it's nice and even and steady, like a nice steady rhythm. And when we experience the two extremes, they can hook us up to something that can, take a look at like what our heart, the way that our heart is beating and our HRV and the different things that contribute to the algorithm of being able to tell, are you in a coherent state or in an incoherent state? Because when we're in those incoherent states of our heart jumping around, the emotions that we feel are those low-level emotions. And when we are in a coherent state, the emotions that we feel are high-level emotions like love, peace, joy, gratitude, goodness, all of these like high-level good feelings. And we don't realize that we have control over the way that those exist inside of us and how our internal state operates. When we can sit and train our body to be in a coherent state on a repeated basis, then that's what becomes our life. That's how we feel on the regular. But what we tend to do in life, because we don't know better and we don't know different, is we get into low-level vibrations. We fall into criticism or judgment, or we wish our spouse was just different, or we wish our kids would do something different, or we experience hard things. It's interesting to see how even as a very young person, you can experience so many different things, and then you can adapt these feelings and beliefs that go along with these feelings, right? Like imagine when you were young and you were in high school, that let's just say that you got rejected big time, right? Like you were dating someone and they broke up with you, and you interpreted the new belief of like, I'm no longer lovable. This is one tiny little example, and you can see how it would be showing up for you in your life. Okay, this is just one little example. Maybe you experienced a different experience and a different belief and different emotions that went with those beliefs. But you can see that if you then adapted, I'm not lovable, and all the feelings that go with it, and now that's what your brain is believing, and you continue to attract situations that feed that emotional state and that feed the belief of I'm no longer lovable. Like, would you ever really find love? Would you ever feel worthy of being loved? And we didn't know that we trained ourselves to, become that and attract that into our life. So that's like one little example of how life can happen and hard can happen, and we don't know otherwise. And so we just continue to stay in the space of, letting life happen to us versus being able to say, I don't like that belief, and that's not what I want to recreate in my life, right? And then being able to feed ourselves with the vibrations that like support something different. And this is what power up is. It's all of these things that I'm kind of like hinting at and talking about. We ultimately learn how to create our life and how to adjust things internally so we can have a different experience. Is this making sense? We teach our brain that there's a different way to operate. We change our beliefs. We show our brain that if it's not absolute truth, if something's not absolute truth, then it doesn't have to be true for you. That doesn't have to be your reality. We rewire your brain and what you have a tendency toward, and we raise your vibration so that you live a life that feels completely expansive. So what can you actually expect from the course? You can expect to move from life happening to you to life happening for you. You can move from a suffering state to a beautiful state, from a state of disease, right? Disease invites and creates disease in our life. And we can expect to move from that to a life of ease and feeling ease in our body and in our life. You can expect to alter your internal environment, to change what you naturally attract, because our vibration is what we attract, right? We're magnets. We have this biofield and we put out energy. And every single time you have a heartbeat, you also have an energetic state. Whenever you have energy, you have a magnetic state. And so we attract things that are like us to us. That's why they always say like birds of a feather flock together, etc. So we attract something similar to our life. So we change our ability to attract something different, whatever we naturally attract. Nothing that we have to go out and be crazy about the hustle about trying to create in our life, because we change here and then we attract something different. You can alter your ability to completely change your reality. You can create something completely different than what you're experiencing now. I have watched my clients go from, they were in like, it was really hard with their relationship with their spouse, to absolute enjoying each other, loving each other, like treasuring each other. I've watched clients go from being suicidal to being like having the best Christmas of their life. I have watched so many incredible transformations that it literally, like I sit in awe. I sit in awe over the what is possible for you. And that is why I'm sitting here having this exchange with you, helping you see, not that I'm great, that I'm helping people move through these things, but what is possible for you. So let's move into like, well, how do you get these types of results? How is it that you actually can experience something in Power Up that causes you to create life completely differently, or to experience life in a completely different way? So I want you to take a moment, and I want you just to close your eyes just for a second and just play with me. Close your eyes, and I want you to point to yourself. Point to yourself. And I want you to pay attention to where you pointed. Like most people, like 99% of people, point to their chest. Okay, they say like, okay, this is me. I'm pointing towards me. Like I don't know. Like I hope that you're in that camp, because I've never seen anybody go like, This is me. I'm pointing to myself, into my brain, or to any other part of my body. They point to their heart. They point to the space where they're feeling the most connected to themselves. And one thing I want you to understand about Power Up is that we use our heart in all the modalities and the things that we do. Your heart is an incredible source of energy. It's an incredible source of power, of shifting, a place where you can access higher vibrations. We use our heart to get into subconscious states, to help us rewrite beliefs, etc. We use our heart in all of the modalities that I'm about to tell you about. So getting into like the how a little bit deeper, we learn the most effective way to meditate. We learn how to access states of heart coherence, and we meditate on the regular in that way so that we can establish a new baseline, or a new way that we feel as we go through our life, a new way that you feel when you wake up, a new way. Just take a little inventory and say, like, how do I feel when I'm just doing regular things, when I'm cooking dinner, or when I'm driving in a car? How do I actually feel? And when you can really like figure that out, how you feel on a regular basis, like it's pretty normal for you to feel XYZ. When you can access that ability to see that, and you could see that that could be different, simply because you learn how the most effective way to meditate is, and you establish a new baseline, and you feel different when you wake up in the morning, and you feel different when you go driving in the car. You feel different, and you have better ways of thinking, because the way that you feel helps promote, or you have a different tendency towards the way that you think, giving people the benefit of the doubt, being in a space of love, being in a space of appreciation and gratitude, which is a completely different way to experience life versus waking up and constantly feeling behind, constantly feeling like there's too much on your plate, constantly feeling like there's not enough money, not enough time, not enough, all of these different things. And being in tune with those feelings and that vibration, it's a completely different experience. Another thing that we do is we recreate new beliefs. So we go into your mind while it's in a subconscious state, and we look for limiting beliefs. And inside of those limiting beliefs, we find things that you believed at one point in time that worked for you, because maybe it helped you survive, or maybe it was a story that felt a little bit better than another story you could have told yourself, or maybe you were starting to become programmed to be resigned and cynical in life, and that was the belief that naturally came with that vibration that you were already sitting in. So you kind of see, like, that's how we adapt these limiting beliefs in our life. But the thing is sometimes we don't even know that they are there operating our life. We don't even know that we're sitting there consistently believing I'm not enough, or there's not enough, or, I'm less than, or I don't have much to contribute, or, all of the woe is me thinking. And we naturally can come into that and believe that ourselves. So what we do is we go in there and we look for those, and then we show your brain that they're not true. Because if they're not true for everyone, 100% of the time, all the time, then they're not an absolute truth. And we can show your brain that while it's in a subconscious state. And then what we can do is create a new belief in the space. After we clear it out, we create a new belief in its space. And then we support that new belief by the vibration that we hold and the repetition that we give it. And we literally can recreate the way that your brain thinks, the beliefs that you have. We also process emotions. We process emotions because sometimes we didn't know how to process a thing when we were going through it, and we've put it underneath the rug. We've buried them. We just didn't know better. And so we buried the beliefs. We buried the emotions. And when you feel them, then you no longer have to carry them. And so we allow our body to feel them, and we don't have to do so much thinking here or talking here, right? With our brain and our tongue. Our body can process things so much faster, so much more effectively when we just let it process the emotions, and then we clear out and we make more space. We make space for what you actually want in your life versus what we're trying to constantly cover up and sort of live a life of pretending, right? Another thing that we do is we alter the chemicals in your body, and we do that by changing your internal environment, right? We change the way that you feel. We kind of talked a little bit about how we do that when we shift your baseline. We change the way that you feel. We change the way that your heart is giving messages to your brain, and therefore the chemicals that your brain is releasing into your body. And so a lot of times when we get addicted to those, low-level emotions or high-stress emotions that come with having experienced like tough things in life, then we fall into this pattern, and it just is what we live every single day. Then work becomes stressful. Our family becomes stressful. Every single thing in life is overwhelming and too much. And we didn't realize that it was us creating that chemical environment that supported those things. And so we reset the chemical environment. We completely reset that. We rewire your neural pathways. So inside of your brain and inside of your heart, you have neural pathways. And the heart actually has more than the brain has. So a neural pathway is, if you've ever seen like a zoomed in image of your brain, you can see there's like little clumps, and then there's like hair-like fractures going in between other little clumps. Okay, that's maybe the best way to describe it. I don't know. I also sometimes have described it in a way of like when you take out the web, like the spider web stuff at Halloween time, and you kind of grab a clump of it and you pull it apart like that, and then there's all these little hair-like connecting points to the other sort of clump that you pulled apart, right? So inside of your brain, it's like this big conglomerate of that, where when a neural pathway is connecting and it's very thick, that's a very strong, very natural thing for you to do, right? Like it's a habit. It's something that's very easy for you. Maybe it's working out. Maybe it's a way you eat. Maybe it's something that you drink every day. I mean, most of us have that, right? Like a habit is a very thick neural pathway. And because of neural plasticity, what we can do is we can change the connection of things that are not well connected. They're like little skinny hair-like connections, and we can strengthen those and make those more strong. So for example, if you have a tendency towards negativity, then that pathway is very, very strong and very thick. And if you start focusing more on something that's more of a positive thought in your life, the actual wiring of your brain changes, and that becomes more of a natural way. But the thing that I love about the way that we do it and the way that we approach it is we don't just say to you, think better, think different, think optimistic and positive. No, we use your heart, and your heart rewrites the patterns because of the way that we drop in and we drop into high vibrational states, and we teach your body a new way. We teach it how to rewire those neural pathways. We teach it how to re-establish the pharmacy, the chemicals that you're experiencing in your body. Such a win. And then while you're also doing the work of recreating your limiting beliefs, it is like crescendo. It's magic. Another thing that we do in the Power Up course is we teach your body a new vibration. And you can already kind of see, like, that makes sense. You're teaching your body a new way to feel. And the way that we feel determines our vibration and our frequency and everything that we repeatedly, drop into. And so what we learn in the Power Up course are the most effective ways to repeatedly drop into those high vibrations. And then by using mindfulness, we become more aware of how to stay in those states, how to stay in elevated states that can welcome what we are creating for our life, for our brain, for our new internal environment. Making sense? Okay, I hope so. All right, so essentially what we're doing is we're creating a new reality. Once we shift all of these things, you not only attract something different in your life, you've also cleaned out so that you have space to welcome something new. And you're now in a different vibration completely. And so you are able not only to attract something different, but you're able to create something different. Because if you consistently are trying to create something and it's not happening in your life, this is why manifestation for people doesn't work, right? Because you can't create something that you are not. And so if we create a different space for you to be in, and then you elevate and you stay elevated, and then we create possibilities that are in alignment with that elevated state, all of a sudden you can see how it could pan out for you. Completely different. It's so good. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what's the difference between my two courses. So I have the Heart Sync course and I have the Power Up course. And the Heart Sync course, I want you to think of it as the baby course, the mini course. Maybe not so mini, but it is like the baby, right? It's what you learn in the Heart Sync course is heart coherence. And what you learn in the Power Up course is the complete package. While in Heart Sync you learn about heart coherence, Power Up teaches you how to structure your whole life differently. And because we use your heart, you also learn heart coherence in Power Up. If you already know heart coherence, then you kind of have like a little bit of a leg up, right? When you're already going into Power Up and you're like, okay, I already know the states of heart coherence, and it will help you get further faster. But you still are going to learn how to access those states and be able to come into a different vibrational state and a different reality, simply because we are also going to be learning heart coherence and then the way that it assists us. And then heart coherence assists us when we do all of our meditations and when we're in those subconscious states where we're working on our limiting beliefs. And heart coherence is a tool that we use while we're doing all of the things that I described to you. So we definitely learn it. Hopefully that gives you a good idea, a good little glimpse at how they're different. Think bigger picture, like the whole complete package, and then the baby, the little the accelerator piece that kind of helps you in the master course. Okay. All right. So then there's the structure of Power Up, and how does it actually work? What are the ways to experience it? And what does the course actually look like as you do it, right? So there's 9 lessons that you can do in the Power Up course. There will also be meditations and live group coaching calls. There's breath work, and you do get continued access to the program material. So you get the replays and all of those things, right? And what I just described to you is the foundation experience. There are different ways to experience Power Up because each level is consistent with the level of support that you want and or need as you go through these things that we do in the Power Up course. So the foundation level is $247 for 3 months. It's $247 for 3 months. That's a crazy deal when you consider everything that you really get in the foundation experience. Okay, so let's go over it one more time. You get 9 lessons where you actually learn all of the ins and outs of what it takes to rewire your internal environment and to be able to create a new life, right? You get 3 live group coaching calls with me where we meet together as a group and we talk about all of the things and we do live coaching all together. Then you also get guided meditations. You get at least 10 guided meditations, but probably more as we go through the course. And then those meditations are reusable for you. So they will always be in your portal and you can always go back to them and use them to be able to meditate, to stay in these higher vibrational states even after the course. I have clients who have done the course and years later, they are still telling me life-changing course. Absolutely life-changing. And then you also get a live breathwork session that we will do together as a group. And then, of course, the continued access to the program. So that's the foundation experience. The expansion experience is $100 more. And this is what you get in the expansion experience. $347 for 3 months. You get everything in the foundation, okay? Plus, you get 3 private one-on-one sessions with me. And the one-on-one sessions, I'll just tell you right now that a lot of my clients are the one-on-one sessions was the catalyst for me. It was the one thing that really the foundation is fantastic because you need the foundation to be able to access everything that we're accessing inside of there. But being able to meet one-on-one we are able to dive into exactly what's happening for you. And I'm able to like help you find your blind spots and walk you through clearing limiting beliefs, walk you through being able to see things that maybe have not been very clear for you to see. So the one-on-ones I think are quite vital. And this one would be in the most popular pick from everybody who signed up so far. They're choosing the expansion. There is another experience called the immersion experience, and you get a little bit more, quite a bit more support from this one. It is more expensive because obviously you get more support. So what you do is you get everything that I've already talked about, foundation and expansion, but you get 2 additional private sessions with me. So that's 5 total one-on-ones. And then you get weekly Voxer support. If you don't know what Voxer is, it's like being able to do audio messages back and forth. And it's support. It's a higher level of support that you can get from me. And then you also get 2 custom personal meditations. So in the course, we're creating a lot of new beliefs, new affirmations, new things for your life. And what those custom meditations will be is me guiding you in to the subconscious state, into that heart coherent state, and then being able to repeat for you what you created in the course, thus making it even more solidified in a deeper way. And it's something that you can put on replay over and over and over and access that. Make sense? So that one is $647 per month for 3 months. So quite a bit more support. Okay. So, we start at the 18th at 11 a.m. and from there we're going to choose the times together that work for the majority of the course. So the first course, and each lesson will be about an hour and a half, so you can kind of know what you would be expecting. And on the 18th at 11 a.m. and then again from there, we'll choose together what works for the majority of the group. I am literally so excited for you. And one thing that I feel like we need to really address and really, really talk about is that it's so normal for us to put our mental health last on the list, right? In so many ways, especially women, especially moms, we put ourselves last. We take care of everybody else while we are living in a state of dis-ease, while we're living in a state that invites disease and unhealth and literally is the catalyst for your life to be good. We put our mental health on the back burner. We also were never taught in school that like this is one of the most vital things that you'll pay attention to in your life is the way that you are changes the way that you operate and move through the world. And so I think that there's some mind adjusting inside of that. We also are not used to paying for transformation for ourselves. We're like, well, let me just buy that self-help book. Let me just see what I can. I am telling you, you will go for like it's like fast acceleration. I will even tell you the books I've read, the courses I've done, the certifications I've done. I'll tell them all to you, and you can go. I promise you, if you also take into account all of the courses that I've done, like it's thousands of dollars. But you can go do it by yourself, or you can allow me to show you a better way. You can allow me to show you faster. And you can allow me to be in a space to coach you so that I can help you see what you're not seeing and move through literally being able to be in a different state in 3 months from now. Like completely different state in the way that you operate and move through the world. There's this like little clip of like Tom Cruise, and he's talking to Cameron Diaz. I'm going to post it on Instagram and you can see it there, but he's like trying to help her. It's a fast action movie. I think it's called Day and Night or something like that. And he's helping her and he's getting her out of handcuffs. And he's literally saying to her, your potential with me. And he's holding his hand really high in the air. With me, without me. And his hand goes really low. With me, without me. With me, without me. With me, without me. And I'm like, yes, that is literally what it is when you decide to hire someone who is or has done what you want to do. Because you can get there, you accelerate your time and you get there so much faster. And they walk you through it. They hold space for you. This is an emotional space that we hold together. Like, the levels of, I promise you, like you're not the only one. If it resonates with you when I say, like, these suffering states that we exist in and that we live in, okay, these highly stressful states that we have told ourselves that we're okay to be in, they are slowly breaking you down. It's time to move into something different. And it's time to put yourself as an incredible priority, an incredible priority. And I want you just to think also for a moment, even just about, like, what do you use that money on? A Costco trip? Literally. You buy, a nice jacket and a pair of shoes, maybe some makeup. Is that going to get you where you want to be in a year? Or is that going to be what you're cleaning out of your closet in a year? Like, really think through this. Even think through the levels and the layers of help that you can access and what that costs you. What does therapy cost you? What does that cost? And the biggest question inside of that is it elevating your vibration? Is it teaching you how to live in a higher space? Or is it asking you to continually sit in the problem, which is low level? Low level emotion with the low level chemical addiction, feeding more and more and more. You're the only one that can answer that question because you're the only one that's experiencing what you're experiencing. I love this. Oh, pray God blesses you the way you bless others. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's a privilege. It literally is a privilege. And if you want to know why it's such a passion for me, you can listen to last week's podcast. Because, we had things happen in our life that I didn't want to settle for. I didn't want to settle for and to say, okay, and sign up. And sign up and just say, okay. You don't realize what you're saying yes to when you're not doing anything at all. And I couldn't sit back and watch the way that things were anymore. And so I studied my heart out. I looked for solutions. I have addressed so much, so many layers. If you want to know more about that story, go listen to that podcast. I think it's called, what is it called? Oh, I can't remember what it is. It was released like 2 weeks ago. The cost is too high, my friends. Sitting in suffering in whatever way that is for you, especially if it's something that feels like, well, this kind of feels new to me. Like, catch it before it becomes big. Catch it before it becomes huge. Change the pattern, change your life. Attract something completely different in your life and in your reality. Okay, I think we covered a lot in a very short period of time. We went through, I tried to encapsulate like what it is that you're actually going to get out of the course, the logistics of the course, all of the things. If you want to look at this further for your life, you can book a free call with me, just a discovery call to see, okay, is this something that like actually will serve me? Why don't you take a look at like what my life looks like or what I'm up against? Would this actually help me as I go through this? Book a free call with me and we'll talk about it. And there's absolutely no obligation. It's just information and you get to choose. You get to choose. I'm here to stand in place for you to have an incredible life. And that's what we're going to do. So come with us. All right, my friend, I hope you got a lot of clarity around Power Up, what it is, and what it might do for your life. If you want to book a discovery call with me, then I'll leave the link to be able to do that in the show notes. I wanted to make sure that you know that there is a early bird sign up bonus. So if you sign up by Saturday, okay, Saturday night, no matter what time, just Saturday night, if you sign up at least by then, you will get an extra one-on-one session with me. Huge. Okay. So that's a great driving force to be like, yes, I'm going to sign up for this. I hope that you can see that this is priced at a crazy value. Like you are going to get so much more than what this costs you, both your time and your money. I promise. I cannot wait to jump in with you. Let's literally rewrite your life. Let's go. And before I leave you today, I want to leave you with a quote by Henry David Thoreau. He said, "Life isn't about finding yourself. It's about creating yourself. So live the life you imagined." Until next time, my friend.